Hey guys, what's up? Katie here. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about IkeJime. As you might have seen in my previous post, I've started working with the IkeJime Federation in the US. I'm really excited about it. The idea of IkeJime accompanied with Shinkei Jime is the creation of a biochemically superior product of fish meat. Now, I'm starting to represent them through the recreational angler side of things, but the IkeJime Federation, tagged below, is doing some really great things for our oceans and our entire seafood industry. Now, I encourage you to check them out and learn more about that, but I'm not going to talk about that today. So, I have been learning how to do this. Now, what is IkeJime? In a nutshell, there's a lot to it, but in a nutshell, it's the process of, it's a Japanese method of harvesting fish that creates a biochemically superior product. Some might say that it's exponentially more humane for the fish because it offers the fish a quick death, while also increasing the quality of the meat. So in my opinion, respecting the meat that much more. And some might say that it takes too long or whatever, but if that's how you feel, then just forego this video. If you don't want to take the time to properly take care of your fish, don't watch. If you're interested in learning more, please keep watching. And for those of you that might be like a little more of sensitive viewers, like my mom, if you're watching, don't keep watching, just get out of here. You're not gonna like it, but know that this is done through respect of the animal, and as the IkeJime Federation likes to call it, it's called a considered kill. Before I start, I just want to give you a little bit of an intro on what I'm going to be doing, what this video is going to entail. I got to practice IkeJime for the first time the other day, thankfully on a small pompano dolphin. A pompano dolphin is in the same family as the common dolphin, or the mahi-mahi. I put a post a couple months ago probably on the difference between the two, but essentially the meat is about the same from what I understand. It's a small fish. Normally I would throw it back. I have no desire. I don't really like eating mahi. I don't think the quality of the fish is that great, generally speaking, and when they're small, they're tougher. The fillets are small. I'm just not interested. But with this IkeJime knowledge that I've recently gained, I decided to try it, and I was not disappointed. The entire boat was stoked on it. We had it sashimi. It was delicious, y'all. It was delicious. My boss was beside himself with how good it was, so that's something that's really cool. IkeJime essentially is a quick kill, so through brain spike of the fish, bleed out of the fish, which removes the bacteria. The brain spike plays defense against the hormonal changes, so the cortisol and epinephrine changes that the body goes through, the biochemical changes, the lactic acid buildup, so changing the pH value of the meat, and the biophysical changes, which is essentially not allowing that body to heat up and actually feed the bacteria. Now, the bleed out is a removing of the bacteria because bacteria lives in blood, stomach, guts, and on the skin. So by bleeding out the fish right away, you have the opportunity to really forego a lot of that bacteria. And then you pass the Shinkei Jime wire through the neural canal. Now, this is where it gets a little complicated. It's kind of a trip. First off, some might say it's a little morbid, but the reason why we do this is we want to stop the ATP cells from firing through the muscle tissue. What are ATP cells? Essentially, every time you flex or relax your muscles, your body's using ATP cells. It's a life cycle. They're constantly regenerated in your body, but once you die, they stop regenerating. However, you have ATP cells stored, so you'll keep moving. So by passing the wire through the neural canal, you're mitigating that. And why is that good? It prolongs the onslaught of rigor mortis. When a body goes into rigor, it's because all the ATP cells have worn out. Now, if a body goes into rigor when the body is still warm, so like living, you kill it, it goes into rigor, it's increasing the odds of bacteria growth, essentially, in a nutshell. So by passing the wire through the neural canal, you're mitigating that. You're stopping the ATP cells from firing or slowing them down dramatically. You can't stop it entirely. Rigor onslaught is dramatically later, and as a result, you get a chance to reduce the basal temperature of the meat, and it allows for the body to go through the enzymic degradation process, which is what happens after rigor mortis. And it's also where you'll get like your umami flavor from the autolysis that happens in enzymic degradation. I know this sounds complicated, but in a nutshell, it makes the meat really good. I had a chance to try this IkeJime and ShinKei on a pompano dolphin, and I'm really excited to show you guys. By no means was it a star performance. It was my first time. I think it's gonna take a long time to perfect it, as you will, but as somebody that loves food and somebody that also wants to promote a sustainable lifestyle and save and conserve our oceans, I think that this is an excellent next step in life, and I'm just so stoked to share it with you guys. We are gonna look at this footage I took, and my friend Andy, thank you Andy for your help, took trying to IkeJime and ShinKei this pompano dolphin. Now, when you pass the wire through the canal, keep in mind that fish is dead, you know? It's just you're targeting all of the nerves and it's gonna move. It's gonna move. So, it's a trip, but if I'm being honest, it's also quite cool. Science, but I'll stop chatting now. Let's check out this vid. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know if you have any questions. I try not to be too hard on my faults. It's a learning process, and I'm really, really excited to learn this with you guys. So let's do this. Okay, so first you want to start by preparing yourself an ice slurry. This is what you're going to put your fish in when it is cleaned and everything has been done. It's been Ike'd, it's been Shinkei'd, and it's ready to have its body temperature drop. Next, wet your teak real good because you are going to be bleeding the fish. You're going to have fish slime. You don't want to stain your teak. Get all your supplies together, put them all together, get your mate to wire your fish in, and flop it onto the deck. Try and get your fish in control as soon as possible and get that brain spike into its brain. So brain location varies by species, but a good rule of thumb is that the brain is located where the preopercular line meets the midline of the fish. The midline of the fish is the spine, and the preopercular line essentially is the forward gill plate line of the fish. So I actually hit the brain first, but I wasn't positive, so I kind of went around in there, and then I hit it again very well. Once your brain is spiked and your fish is brain dead, you want to cut its dorsal artery, which is the only artery a fish has, but a good place to cut it is just at the base of its gill plate. You want to cut that as quick as possible so that its heart continues to pump the blood out. This is like a natural blood flushing system. This whole process is pretty time sensitive, but I've made some faults here. At this point, you don't need to leave the brain spike in the fish. I don't know why I did that. Next, I would also, this is a good moment once you're bleeding your fish out to take the hook out of the mouth and to remove the leader from the area. Just get that out of your way. And I also don't think it's a bad idea to use a hose to kind of flush the rest of that blood out of the fish before you move on to the ShinKei section. I do both of those things a bit later, but I wish I could go back and do them now. The spinal cord, the vertebrae, have two holes, one on the top and one on the bottom. The top one is where your neural canal is passing through, and the bottom is where the artery is located. I cut the tail off to get easy access to the neural canal because this is my first time. Here pretty soon, hopefully I'll know how to do this, how to access the fish neural canal from the head so that on bigger fish we can keep the tail intact. I do feel like I need to say that it would be ideal to, when you put a fish on the deck, to put it on top of some sort of padding. Unfortunately, I don't have that in this video. I need to sort that idea out, but the idea behind that is that the more a fish flops, even once it's been brain spiked, the more it flops, the more it has the potential to bruise the meat, which means you're allowing bacteria, aka blood, access into the muscle tissue, and that is just not ideal. So throughout this video, note the times that it's flopping on the deck, and note that I'm trying to pin it down. When you see me put my leg on it, I'm not putting my weight on it. I'm simply trying to hold it to the deck and prevent it from beating up its meat. Now, you might be able to tell that I have been struggling with this section of the video. I cut the tail to access the vertebrae, and I couldn't see the hole. I couldn't find the hole, and I thought, well, maybe it's just a little harder to find, so I cut the tail off all the way, and there's two little bones sticking out. They're the tail bones. So what I decided to do is maybe I need to cut the tail a little further up the body to access the neural canal. Shout out to Andy. Thanks for getting that leader out of the way. I was not paying attention to it, and that's not good. So don't do what I did there. But on the bright side, as soon as I cut just a little bit more off of the tail, I was immediately able to locate the neural canal, which blew my mind, and the Shinkei Jime wire went straight into that fish, and I just can't believe how easy it was to do this properly. As you can imagine, this is the part where I'm really, really happy I got to experience this process on a small fish before trying to do it on a big tuna. But that fish is seizing up and moving like crazy. All of the colors are changing. The dorsal fin is fluttering. Everything is moving. Now, when you're passing the Shinkei Jime wire through the neural canal, you are essentially tricking the muscle tissue into not knowing that the animal is dead. You're not allowing it to fire those ATP cells, and you're hacking the central nervous system. What I now know is the correct way to use the Shinkei Jime wire is to pass it all the way to the head and then to move it back and forth a few times quickly until the body stops to move altogether. That's how you know that you have quit access to all of those nerves. The next step of the process is to gut and gill the fish. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the bacteria is in the blood as well as the intestines of the fish. When you're cutting into it, be careful not to puncture any of the intestines. If you puncture the gut, then you are spilling bacteria, essentially. So try and keep it all together. Try and keep it all intact. Be careful with it, but also you want to get it all out of there so that you can help mitigate the speed of which bacteria grows. I also did not need to have the Shinkei Jime wire still in the fish. Should have taken it out sooner. It doesn't really make a difference, but it's just not really classy, so I'll take it out sooner in the future. At this point, I'm cutting the connections of the gills, and then I'm just going to tear them out of the fish. It's the easiest way to do it, in my opinion, as well as Andy's opinion. And it just provides for an easy removal. If there's anything left, you can always cut it out later. I like to pull the gills out from the stomach cavity. It's all one piece. Essentially, it's all interconnected. And this provides me the ability to get it all out in one go and to not keep it all together. I like to keep it all together and not allow anything to bust. But take your time with this. Take your time with this process. It's more important to not rupture the guts than to do it quickly. So here you go. Overboard. Enjoy it, little fishies. And now we have a beautifully empty fish. The blood's gone. I'm going to go ahead and wipe it down with a rag because I was told that bacteria lives on the skin. I don't know how necessary that is, but yeah, I like to do that. Get all the blood out of there with some fresh water. Spray it out of the mouth, spray it in the cavity, spray it, flip the fish, and wipe it down on the other side. Again, I would have removed that Shinkei Jime wire earlier if I had watched myself do this previously, and so now I have my lesson learned. Once you've got your fish cleaned up, all the blood's gone, you've got all those little pieces out of there, and you're happy with the way it looks, it's time to get your fish into your ice slurry, which is one-on-one water and ice. The idea of a slurry is that it properly encapsulates your fish. Instead of just sticking it directly on ice, you get an even exposure to the cold and the cool. So stick your fish directly into your slurry and leave it in there long enough for it to become fully cold. This could be 15 minutes, it could be an hour, but the idea is that once that fish goes into rigor mortis, it is cold. The proper way of taking care of your IkeJime fish after this point is to keep it cold and dry. If you have room to keep the fish whole, dry it off real well and put it cold somewhere, ideally a fridge where it's a controlled temperature. But since I didn't have a place on the boat to keep a whole entire fish, at this moment I dried it real well and then I filleted the fish. And once I had the fish fillets, I dried them very well, wrapped them in paper towels, and put them in the fridge to age for 24 hours. The fish didn't go into rigor until I checked it the next morning and it was hard. And so that's when it had gone into rigor. And after that, the enzymic degradation starts and it has the chance to process correctly and really create that beautiful flavor. There was no smell to it. There was no stink whatsoever. And like I mentioned earlier, we served it sashimi and it was absolutely amazing. The whole boat was impressed. And so all I have to say is that the first round of IkeJime really, really worked out, and we're really excited to see how this process changes the flavors of fish throughout the water column. So thanks for joining us today. I'm really excited about this. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments, and feel free to share it. So you guys rock. Catch you on the flip side. This is hard. Man. It's really bright. Today, I would like to talk to you about, What's up, guys? I'm going to talk to you a little bit about IkeJime today. As you might have seen in my previous posts, I have started working. God damn it. Hey guys, what's up?